like a animal, 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 like a
I'm getting out today, out of rehab, and I'm scared. I don't know if my friends and family will talk to me anymore. I want to be able to tell them that it wasn't me. It was the drug, methamphetamine, that took over my life and turned me into someone I didn't even want to know. I've been here for almost 18 months. I tried rehab once before, but it was only for 21 days, and that wasn't long enough. Not with this drug. I hadn't even detoxed in 21 days. I wasn't eating or sleeping in any regular way, and I was back on the stuff within days. This is a new place, just for meth addiction. I came here to relearn how to live. My folks had to refinance their house to pay for it, but it gave me my life back. I'm eating right, I can sleep again, and I'm part of my own recovery process. I want to have a purpose again. For the past half year, the staff here has been my friends, my teachers, and my support, but today, that all ends. They all wish me luck. They want me to make it, but I know behind their smiles and well wishes, they're worried. The statistics aren't good for getting off meth and staying off. Meth has been around for a long time, but the stuff out there now is a new variation. It's 90% pure. It immediately hooks you. It's a drug that takes control and keeps control. Once you've crossed the line and tried it, you can never go back. I can never go back. I can't ever go back to exactly who I was before and pretend that I didn't have the experience. And now there's not a day that goes by and I don't think back on how this all happened. I was just a regular kid, a freshman in high school. I had friends, a job. There wasn't anything special about me, but then I started to feel the pressure of high school. Not getting enough sleep, worrying about my grades, just wanting to cut loose. I'd heard about this drug, methamphetamine, though I'd heard it by its other names: glass, ice, crystal, quartz, even once I heard it called fire. I had heard it gave you a great rush and a high you wouldn't forget. You could get all the energy you wanted, feel like you could do anything, and you'd never be hungry. It was a great way to lose weight. I just wanted to try it and see if what they said about it was true. It was easy enough to find. All I had to do was ask around. I didn't tell my friends I was interested because I didn't want them to try and talk me out of it. It was easy to get the first time. They almost give it away. They know once you've tried it, you're hooked. I got into a huge fight with my best friend. He said I was crazy to try it. I didn't like the idea of anyone telling me what to do, so I walked out. His girlfriend was one of the lucky ones. She listened to him. I didn't. All I wanted was to try it once, to find out for myself what it was like. I wasn't going to get addicted. I just needed a boost to get me through the tough time. Exams, work, all the pressure. I just wanted to try it and see if it would help. I didn't think anything terrible was going to happen, just from trying it. The rush was incredible. Within seconds, my pulse rate and temperature shot through the roof. Suddenly, I was higher than I ever could have imagined. That was the problem. Once I had experienced that feeling, I wanted it again and again. And it took more and more of the drug to get me there. The drug took over my life before I had a chance to choose. While those who sell meth will tell you about the high, no one mentions what you're going to feel like as you come down. Nobody mentions the crash. It's horrible. Worse than anything I've ever experienced. I went to bed for days. I didn't care about anybody or anything. If I was awake, I just thought of how I could get more. Otherwise, I was in a coma-like sleep. I lost my friends and my job, but some of the people I met in rehab had kids. When they crashed, their children had to take care of themselves. Eventually, they lost everything too, including their kids. In only a few weeks, my life became hell. People were just things to be used. I hated everything I used to love. I was paranoid and I'd go off on anyone, even friends and family. If someone didn't have meth or use it, they were nothing to me. I started to imagine shadow people coming after me, and the bugs crawling under my skin. Sometimes I thought I actually saw the bugs, and I tried to claw them out of my arm. The sores wouldn't heal because I didn't eat. All I had in me was the poison. By the time I was finished with a 3-week binge on methamphetamine, I had become a very dangerous person. I no longer had any human qualities, except maybe that I looked like one. But even that would have disappeared if I kept using it. My body would have eaten itself up from the inside out. One woman I met in rehab was down to 90 pounds. She had open sores that wouldn't heal, and she had lost most of her teeth. She terrified me every time I saw her walking down the hall. If I had kept using it, I would have ended up looking like that too, not even looking human. I learned a lot about the environment while I was in rehab too. I had to laugh at myself. I used to care about ecology. I'd get mad at big business and huge corporations that would spit their garbage out into the air, or pour their sludge into the rivers, or dump their waste into the ground. God, I was such an idiot. I had no idea what crap went into making meth. I had no idea that I was part of the pollution mess that was ruining the earth. I just had no idea. Meth starts with a base of Sudafed. You know, the drugstore stuff for a common cold. Meth cooks go in and buy or steal 20 or more packs at a time. No one tried to stop them. Nobody had to show their ID or sign for anything. Then they'd start mixing and cooking. They'd add kerosene, charcoal fluid, Drano, lye, red phosphorus from matches, lithium from batteries, antifreeze, paint thinner, even gun cleaning solvent. All stuff you can easily buy in a hardware store. All of these things are toxic chemicals. They all contaminate the air, the water, and the ground. Working anywhere near toxic junk means you have to be protected from touching or breathing it. But that's not how meth cooks get rid of stuff. They just dump it. And for every pound of meth produced, there's 5 to 6 pounds of toxic waste they have to get rid of. Wherever they make or dump meth becomes, literally, a hazardous waste site. Toxic chemicals are rated from 1 to 6 on how fast they can kill a human being. A number 1 isn't very toxic. You'd get sick before it would kill you. A number 6 is super toxic. A few drops or a taste can kill you. Methamphetamine is mostly made up of 4s, 5s, and 6s. All of those ingredients can kill a person or poison the earth. And then a meth cook heats them up and cooks them all together. You can't miss the smell. It's like a huge cat litter box that nobody ever cleaned. It's so toxic it affects everyone who comes in contact with it. Police, fire, roadway workers, neighbors, and especially children. And that's if the meth lab doesn't blow up. You can't mix and heat all those chemicals without the risk of explosion. They happen all the time. And sometimes, the firefighters don't know it was a meth lab till later. By then, they've already been breathing and touching the stuff. This drug affects everyone, from arrest to medical problems, from fire to the environment, from increased crime to child neglect and abuse. It's devouring our community's resources. And economically, communities are already struggling. There's just not enough money for everything anymore. But I didn't know all this before. All I wanted to do was try it. The most important thing I learned in rehab was how meth affected my brain and body. I wish now I had paid more attention in health class. While most drugs make you feel good in a general way, methamphetamine goes directly and specifically to the feel-good center of the brain, which is one of the reasons why it's so quickly addicting. See, the cells in the brain are called neurons. Neurons talk to each other, and they send information back and forth through neural pathways. And excited neurons can't wait to send information along the neural highway to other neurons, telling them about excited new experiences. The speaker of a neuron is called an axon. The axon sends information along the neural pathway, searching for other neurons who are listening. The ears of a neuron are called dendrites. Dendrites take information, send it across the neuron and back to another axon. Excited neurons relay information and create strong neural pathways. Bored neurons do not. Between the axon of one neuron and the dendrites of another neuron, there is a gap. Information has to get across that gap for it to continue racing along that neural highway. This is where neurotransmitters come in. Neurotransmitters get the information across the gap. Neurotransmitters flow as tiny drips, a little at a time, depending on our mood and experience. Dopamine is one of those neurotransmitters. It's the one that makes us feel happy, alive, filled with joy, and confident you can do anything. Methamphetamine affects this neurotransmitter. It opens the floodgate and forces dopamine to pour out. The dopamine can't get back in. This gives you the rush and keeps you on a high. Your body just has to absorb it back in. That takes 12 to 24 hours, so you're active but unproductive, not hungry and not thirsty. But the human mind and body weren't made to withstand that kind of abuse. Not eating, not sleeping, not caring, just constant, aimless activity. Finally you crash, and sleep for days. Eventually, meth burns up the cells that produce dopamine. It can take 2 to 3 years for the cells to rebuild, sometimes even more. That means living in chronic depression, feeling miserable, lifeless, and hopeless. And there's always that memory of the first meth experience that got you immediately locked into your subconscious. That's why so many go back to using it. Meth completely shorts out the human survival system. Meth becomes the only thing worth living for. So the damage continues. Open sores, losing all your teeth, confusion, uncontrollable shaking. Simply put, you get old while you're still young. Eventually, one way or another, meth kills. Your body eats itself away. Kidneys and lungs can give out. You can have a stroke and face years of irreversible brain damage and paralysis, or go fast from heart failure. Suicide is high because of being so depressed, with no end in sight. And meth creates drug-induced psychosis, which can make people kill others for no reason. One way or another, meth kills. Looking back, I wish I'd never tried it, but I can't change that now. What I can do is try to help others. I can tell my story and urge people to stay away from methamphetamine. I can help educate people about the dangers of meth and ask them to make a stand against it. One person or just one agency can't do it. This is a predatory drug, and it's not going away. It's growing. But if you stand with me, together, we can do it. Meth addiction doesn't work with only 21-day traditional rehabs. It isn't long enough. To be successful, I needed to get my health back. I needed time to detox my body and regulate my eating and sleeping patterns. I worked with people who helped to educate me about what went into meth and what it did to me. And I did my part. I fought hard to get my life back. I wanted my life back. I wanted my friends back. I wanted to feel human emotions of love, caring, and purpose. And I'm going off to fight them. I know it's going to be hard, and I don't know for sure if I'll be one of those who make it, but I hope I am. For the first time in a long time, I have hope.